Okay, everybody, it's me, Gregory Manarino. This is my post-market wrap-up on this Tuesday, October 29th, 2019, the day before the Fed decision. People, before I even get started, I need you to do this guy a favor. You know I would never let you down? Well, I'm counting on you here. Share this video. I'm about to outline what is going on right now with regard to the banks and the Federal Reserve. I understand that most of you who follow this blog have a very concise understanding as to what's going on, but there is something now being set up. It's been going on now since the Fed started quantitative easing again, recapitalizing the banks, that we have to discuss here. Two things happened today which play right into this, and I guarantee you, most of you that follow this blog are not going to be shocked at all whatsoever, because you already knew something like this was coming. Now again, I've explained to you months and months ago that world central banks were about to go nuclear, meaning they were all going to start flooding their respective nations with more debt, easy money, rate suppression. After I said that, boom, 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 a series of world central banks did exactly what I said. I explained to you that the Fed would follow suit, and I explained to you that the Fed would go hyper-nuclear. I've also explained to you that we haven't seen anything yet. This new phase, we're about to hit a new one, I'm going to call beyond nuclear, okay? And this plays into what we found out today, okay? Number one, Treasury Secretary Steve Mnuchin, you know this guy. He came out, I mean, Google this for yourself if you don't want to take my word for it. He's calling for looser rules with regard to the banks. Again, the banks already have a free-for-all, and they're gambling with your money. Obviously, we know this is being done by design. The banks, the core of the military-industrial complex, the major Wall Street banks run the Fed. Keep all this in mind. Now, also keep this in mind. So we understand what is happening now. QE, just like during the financial crisis, and the banks are being recapitalized now. Why would the banks again be getting recapitalized in this environment? For the most part, the banks are killing it with regard to their earnings coming in. The stock market, near all-time record highs. Yesterday, the S&P 500 hit an all-time record high. Today, we had a new intraday all-time record high. Stocks did close fractionally lower. So again, here's the setup so far, and it's going to get better. We got full-blown quantitative easing, hundreds upon hundreds of billions of dollars being pumped into the debt market, and the Federal Reserve is buying stocks. We have a stock market very close to all-time record highs across the board. I mean, we are right there. We have earnings that are coming in better than expected. So this is where I'm going with this entire thing. Today, the President of the United States, let me get this right. I'm going to read this to you. This is a quote. I don't want this to be my words. I want to get it down. I posted this. Here we go. Here we go. President Trump, the Fed needs to follow other nations with negative rates. He came out again, pouncing the Fed, saying they're behind the curve, they're not lowering rates fast enough. Several months ago, the president explained that we needed zero or negative rates. No, not even zero. The president is calling for negative rates. Now, why? Why would the president be calling for negative rates? In number one, his words, the economy is booming. Mike Pence says the economy has never been stronger in U.S. history. Okay? We all understand that this is not true, but that's what's coming out of their mouths. The reason why the banks are now being recapitalized for a while now, since this QE started, it has thus far been expanded and extended. It's perpetual. It's not stopping. Banks are, again, windfall profits. So why is this happening? Well, we got the clue today from Mnuchin, number one, President Trump, number two. Mnuchin's calling for looser rules. The banks can do what the hell they want, whenever they want, with all this extra capital that they're getting. And the bigger one, the Fed is going to lower rates. I believe this is going to happen tomorrow. Could I be wrong? Sure. But I still believe we're going to get a rate cut, despite stock market being near all-time record highs, despite full-blown quantitative easing going on right now, for which we're not hearing a peep about from the president. Here's part of the setup now, that he's calling for negative rates. The banks want lower rates. Now, why would the banks want lower rates? You would assume that banks want higher rates, right? So they could, make more profit. Well, they're already doing phenomenal now with rates where they are. The people being robbed blind via the interest rate suppression scheme. You all know that. People's interest earning accounts are not keeping up with the rate of inflation, so they're being robbed blind to subsidize the stock market. If the Fed cuts rates tomorrow, or if we go negative, like the president explained today, again, not zero anymore, negative, he wants the Fed to follow other banana republics around the world into the negative rate realm. Now, why? If rates go negative, the banks that run the Fed will borrow money from the Fed and get paid to do it. Get paid to borrow this cash from the Fed. Then what they do is they take this cash, they're being recapitalized, they loan this cash out to we the people at exorbitant rates. It's a win-win situation for the banks. They cannot lose. Again, you know what this is all about. People, I've explained this to you, I think, better than anyone else can, for a long time now. The end game, the final solution of world banks, central banks, is to be the lenders and buyers of last resort. Why do you think that banks are being recapitalized here in the United States and around the world right now? Why? Why is this going on? Let's stick here to the United States with banks doing phenomenal. Why are they being recapitalized? Why is the president, again, not even calling for zero, but calling for negative rates? It should be obvious to you. This is the final takeover of our country by the banks, the core of the military-industrial complex. People, you gotta snap out of it. If you cannot see what is being set up here, what started when this whole QE scheme began, they expanded it, they extended it, the recapitalizing of the banks, the repo scam that's going on, the banks also performing a repo scam between each other to keep the liquidity illusion alive. Now we're getting calls for looser rules for the banks by Steve Mnuchin, negative rates from the President of the United States. Does this help you? Look, I don't care which side of the aisle that you stand on, okay? Please put that aside for a moment. Think for a moment. Think for a moment. How does this environment help you? It is an absolute windfall for the banks here. Again, if we go deeper into this rate suppression cycle, if the president gets his wish and we go negative, the banks can borrow this cash and get paid to do it, and then lend it to you and whoever else wants to take out a loan. I hope you're seeing the bigger picture here. I asked you, I think it was earlier today, to start thinking at a different level. Understand that what you're hearing and what you're seeing is a charade. It is a game. You're being played. You're being played by the Wall Street banks. You're being played by the Federal Reserve. You're being played by the private entity known as the United States government. I hope you can see this now, people. I really hope so. This is all very stock market positive. The banks run the show. Period. They finance everything. Understand that. Sure, this will push stocks up if we get more rate cuts, deeper, go negative, if there are looser regulations for the banks. It's a free-for-all. It doesn't help you at all as a member of the middle class. If you are a member of the upper echelon of society, you could not be loving this anymore. If you're a member of the lower rung, it doesn't matter to you. But if you are a member of the middle class and you are not speaking out right now, again, whether you are on the which side of the aisle you're on, I hope you're able to see through the veil that has been put in front of your face, and now it's unfolding right before your eyes. You think it's a coincidence why QE is now running in full force? A coincidence why the banks are being recapitalized in this environment where their earnings are off the Richter scale? Why Mnuchin's calling for looser regulation? Why the president wants negative rates in this environment, wants us to become a banana republic? We should be raising rates, people. Your dollar should be able to keep its purchasing power. Why are we empowering the banks? Let me ask you that. Why are we being forced to empower the Wall Street banks and the Federal Reserve? Understand again, the more debt the Fed issues, the stronger they become, not the weaker. It's their end goal, to issue as much debt as they possibly can so they can become the lenders and buyers of last freaking resort. We need a revolution in this country. A revolution in this country. We've lost. We've all lost. No matter what side of the aisle you're on, and they're all playing together. There is no two-party system. They are two heads of a hideous animal. Seriously. And you and me, we are in jeopardy. We are in jeopardy here, people. We need a revolution. I don't know another way to put it. Before I let you go, getting worked up here, and my heart's like pounding. It's so obvious to me. And it should be obvious to you what we're seeing here. Break out of the box. Start thinking on a higher level. You're not allowed. Why do you think people are so dumbed down? Even if they had the intellect of an average person, let's say one of our forefathers, okay? I think our forefathers were all brilliant, okay? They would be able to see very clearly, but no. The distractions that get thrown in front of them. The roadblocks that get thrown in front of them. Look here. Don't look here. Think about what's going on. Stay polarized. Hate each other. People, we got to come together and we need a revolution. And I keep saying this. I'm probably going to get banned from YouTube. Anyway, like I was starting off, look, on the 1st of last month, I asked all of you to step forward and support this blog. I'm very proud to say that since that time, 216 people stood up and supported this blog. I love all of you, that's the truth, but I want to give an extra special shout out to those of you who supported my work, supported this blog here. I will never let you down, you know that. And if you feel like I'm doing a good job here, I'm going to ask you again, support my work, support this blog. It's not that hard. There is a link in the description of this video. Again, I have, 95,000 people that watch my blog that are subscribers alone. 216 stood up and supported this blog, and I am very thankful for that. Anyway, with that said, I hope you would consider supporting my work. I really do. And again, people, we got to come together on this. We really do. We are in some kind of thing. They are playing us all like grand pianos. It's unbelievable. It really is. And I don't know. Put this all together in your head, what I covered in this video blog. Does this sound normal to you? Does this sound right? Why are we? Literally, I want to leave you off with this, and I want you to answer this question. Why are you and I being forced to support the banks here, the Wall Street banks, the same banks that run the Fed? This is a global phenomenon that we are witnessing here. You think this is by coincidence? People, I've explained to you before. I don't give a damn who sits in that White House. It could be anyone. They're not pulling the strings. The whole thing is a game. Once you start thinking at a higher level and you put all this nonsense aside, you stop watching the paid shill YouTube channels that are pushing one agenda, and you clear your mind, you remove the veil, and you will be able to understand what's happening. This is an incredible situation that we are in, people. It's incredible. It really is. All right, I'm out of here. Please share this video blog. I think it's been exceedingly important. I hope we can get some more people to understand how desperate we are. We are losing on an unbelievable scale. We've lost. And I don't know what it would take if we can't. There's no way to do it. There's not enough people right now to take back this country anymore. We've lost. We've let it happen to ourselves. And now we're going to see the fruits of their labors, how they have taken the general population, stripped out their hearts, stripped out their souls, and turned them into marshmallows or non-thinking beings. It's some kind of twisted reality we're in, people. I'm serious. If you can see what I'm explaining to you, believe me, count yourself as a very rare individual with a high intellect. With that said, I'm out of here. I'll see you in the morning. Love all of you.